Hey, all right, so you just saw the demonstration on today's rudiment, the flam paradiddle diddle. Before we go any further, I just want to say this lesson, as you could probably tell from the demonstration, is a foundational rudiment lesson. So this is tailored towards beginners. So if you're more of an intermediate or advanced player, this lesson is not going to have anything super fancy for you. Also, for you beginners out there, I'd recommend, if you have not yet done this, click the links in the description below so you get the free PDFs on how to read the drum notation, and also to get the PDF that has all the rudiments we're covering this series, including today's rudiment. You'll see on that PDF that we're basing this off of the Percussive Arts Society notation. So that's important because it's a helpful way, that the way they notate these rudiments is just a really helpful doorway into playing these rudiments. Now, they list the flam paradiddle diddle as just a bunch of 16th notes. And that's interesting because if you're familiar with the paradiddle diddle, you know that it's a 6-note phrase. And if you're not familiar with the paradiddle diddle diddle, or the flam, then click the link here and that'll take you to the rudiments playlist on the channel, and you could learn those two rudiments and then come back to this one. But if you are familiar, then all right, so we know that it's a 6-note phrase. If we're playing them as 16th notes, then that means that the rudiment isn't gonna fit inside of one beat. It's going over the beat. And that can be really interesting when you're playing with a metronome. So I just wanted to mention that so you can keep that in mind when you're practicing. Every flam paradiddle diddle played as 16th notes with a metronome is not gonna neatly, obviously, fit inside between beats 1 and 2 and beats 2 and 3. It's gonna go over that. It's a beat and a half long. And so you'll notice that when you're playing with the metronome. Why do I recommend doing it that way? Well, because I think it's a great way of strengthening our inner clock. Not only just to strengthen the inner clock, but to strengthen our inner clock when playing a sticking that's not common. Meaning, like, the most common sticking we come across as drummers is single strokes. And then the second one is consistent double strokes. But this is a mixture of playing, a flam, so that's a rudiment that has 2 different stick heights, and then a combination of singles and doubles all attached to it. So you have to do multiple things within this rudiment just from the sticking alone, and then to add that, the Percussive Arts Society notation of saying, okay, we'll practice it as 16th notes, adds another layer of understanding that you can accent or play phrases that go over the beat. And then eventually you can think of going over the bar, meaning playing a pattern that goes over the measure, the length of one measure. That's really interesting. But it's a little bit more complex to do that. So this is a nice doorway into kind of that idea. So it's gonna help your creativity as a drummer. I mean, if you've been going through this rudiment series with me, you've probably heard me say that many times, but I really do mean it. The flam paradiddle diddle, it's just taking the flam and taking the paradiddle diddle and squeezing it together. That's it. That's it. Go slow as always. Practice it without the metronome. Freestyle it, as I like to say. Then pick a nice slow tempo, maybe 40 beats per minute, maybe 50, maybe 60. Get comfortable there. Really feel that the accent on the flam, when it starts on beat 1, the next one, the first flam paradiddle diddle is not going to end until the last note will be the E of 2. And then the second flam paradiddle diddle will start on the and of 2. So inside beat 2, halfway through beat 2, on the upbeat basically. Now the other thing that's tricky about getting the flow of this is it does alternate the leading hand. So you start off, let's say, playing a right-handed flam, to me meaning the accent is in the right hand and the flammy part is in your left hand. After you get through that first flam paradiddle diddle, you want to switch to a left-handed leading flam, meaning the accent of the flam is in your left hand. And that's the tough part. That is the tough part because it's a long pattern. It's a pattern that ends with double strokes, and when you've got to switch, you end up having 3 notes in the same hand of different dynamics. And that's kind of a challenging thing, but that's another benefit of learning this rudiment is you're gonna get control over your hand technique. It's gonna improve your hand technique, which is gonna allow you to play with more dynamics, which is your ability to play loud, soft, and everywhere in between. So, okay, the main part of this lesson was obviously the demonstration at the front. and also the fact that you've got your PDF now, your free PDF. You could read this and take your time. So go slow, gradually increase your tempo, moving by 3 beats per minute at a time. That helps trick your brain into getting faster, where most of the time when you increase by 3-ish BPMs, our body, our mind doesn't notice the increase in speed, and that's helpful. We want to avoid negative thoughts about our ability to learn the instrument, meaning if you do a big jump in tempo and you have the thought, ooh, that's fast. Well, quick, all right, now already, once you start to think that, you're already psyching yourself out. And so you're kind of like tying one hand behind your back, so to speak, in order to get better. And that's not helpful. Yeah, so take your time and just practice it daily if you can. Consistency is the key with learning rudiments and with being able to take the rudiment out of just being a rudiment and bringing it into your drumming on the kit, meaning like your groove construction, meaning your fill construction. So playing different types of fills, not just playing 16th notes clockwise around the kit, or as single strokes, being able to take a rudiment and have it seamlessly come out of you creatively on the instrument, on the drum kit, when you go to play a fill, or when you go to play a drum solo, or when you go to create a groove. How cool is that? To be able to incorporate a rudiment maybe inside of a groove, that's wild. But you can only do those things if we spend daily, consistent practice integrating these rudiments into our playing. And that's what I mean when I say like having it as a tool in the toolbox. It's like it has to be a part of our drumming DNA. So, all right, that's it. That's today's rudiment, the flam paradiddle diddle. It's a weird one. It's a cool one. It's a tough one. So take your time, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, if you enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you did any and all of the YouTube things, meaning hit the like button, share it with other drummers who are looking to learn rudiments. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, I'd be so grateful if you did subscribe. I'll keep you up to date on everything we've got going on here on the Drum Shed. But also, any of that engagement and interaction from you helps the Drum Shed reach new, young, aspiring drummers, or maybe they're old, aspiring drummers. My point is, your engagement helps this channel reach new drummers. And my hope for this channel is that it could be even just a somewhat decent substitute for a drum student out there who just doesn't have the means of taking one-on-one private lessons. So you can help me achieve that. All right, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a very blessed day.